The sun was harsh that day, beating down on the dusty streets of the alien city. She moved slowly, her small feet dragging through the sand, and every step felt heavy as if the world itself wanted her to fail. Her clothes were torn, patched in so many places that they hardly looked like clothes anymore. Dirt clung to her skin, and her hair was matted. Yet she held her head a little higher than yesterday, hoping anyone would notice her. Around her the city buzzed with life, but not a soul paid attention. They laughed and whispered as she passed, calling her names that cut deeper than any blade. Useless, they said, worthless and filth of the city. And children pointed fingers, echoing the adults' cruelty. She felt their stares burn her skin. Yet she did not cry. Not yet, because she had learned that tears would bring more laughter. Her stomach ached with hunger, twisting painfully. She had not eaten properly in days, and her body felt weak and small. Every corner of the city held smells of food she could never touch. Roasted meats, sweet fruits, and steaming soups called to her. But they belonged to others, not to someone like her. She remembered the last time she dared to take a small piece of bread from a market stall. The vendor had yelled, the crowd had laughed, and they had thrown the scraps at her feet, making her crawl to pick them up. Her pride had been wounded that day, but her hunger had been louder. She moved toward the water fountain in the city square, hoping at least for a sip to ease the pain. But even there, the cruelty followed. A group of older aliens blocked her path, sneering. "Back to the dirt where you belong," one of them said, pushing her lightly but enough to make her stumble. She balanced herself, trying to hide the tremble in her hands, wishing she could disappear, just vanish from the eyes of those who mocked her. Yet as she looked around, something unusual caught her eye. A figure standing at the edge of the crowd, watching quietly. Not laughing, not sneering, just watching. His skin was different from the aliens around her. His posture calm, his eyes soft, full of curiosity and something she had not felt in a long time. Kindness. Her heart fluttered with a strange feeling, a tiny spark of hope. Could it be possible that someone wanted to help her? Or was it just another trick, another way to laugh at her later? She did not know, but she could not look away. She tried to ignore him, telling herself to keep moving. But hunger and fear had made her cautious, and the human's presence lingered like a shadow she could not shake. The crowd began to push her, shoving and laughing. Trying to force her out of the square, she fell to her knees, her hands scraping the rough stone. Pain shot through her palms, but she bit her lip and endured. The human stepped closer, his calm presence separating her from the chaos. His hand reached out, not to touch her, but to offer a small loaf of bread. Warm and wrapped in cloth, she froze, disbelief freezing her limbs. Could this be real? Could someone actually care? The girl hesitated, fear and hope battling inside her. She had learned to trust no one. Every offer had come with a hidden trap. Every kindness had a cruel price. She looked around at the crowd, seeing their mockery and jeers, feeling the weight of all the times she had been laughed at. But the human's eyes did not waver. They held a steady patience that told her he would not let them harm her. Finally, trembling, she reached out, her fingers brushing the bread. Feeling its warmth, a tear escaped her eye. Unnoticed by the crowd, she grabbed it fully, clutching it to her chest like a treasure. Her stomach rumbled again, and she whispered a quiet "thank you," though the human could not hear it. That small act, the acceptance of simple kindness, felt like the first step towards something new, something she had never imagined. The crowd murmured, confused by the human's intervention. Some stopped laughing, others whispered, "Why help her? She is nothing," but the girl did not care. She felt a strange sense of safety, a first taste of trust. The human nodded once, a simple gesture, and turned away, leaving her to take the first bite. Warm bread in her hands, tears mixing with the dust on her face. She chewed slowly, savoring each crumb, letting herself imagine a life where she could eat without fear, where she could be seen not as dirt, but as someone who mattered. For the first time in many days, she stood taller, her eyes searching for a world beyond the cruelty she had known. She did not know the human's name, nor did she know why he had helped her. But in that moment, hope began to grow, small and fragile, yet stronger than any laughter. She felt that maybe, just maybe, her story was not over, and the world could be different. And as she walked away from the square, clutching the small loaf, she did not look back, she only looked forward, toward a future that had never seemed possible. The city still buzzed with life, still full of cruelty and mockery, but she had taken the first step into a new story. one where kindness could exist, one where perhaps she could belong. The sun had begun to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. She sat alone at the edge of the city square, still clutching the small loaf of bread the human had given her. Her fingers traced the warmth of it, and for the first time in days she felt a little safe. The laughter of the cruel crowd had faded into the distance, replaced by a strange silence that wrapped around her like a soft blanket. Her stomach ached less now, filled with more than just hunger. She felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. The thought was fragile, delicate like a tiny flame flickering in a dark room, but it was enough to make her heart beat a little faster. Her eyes scanned the square, expecting someone to appear, ready to mock her again, but no one came. Only shadows stretched across the streets as the day ended. Then she saw him again. The human stood at the edge of the square, watching her quietly, not speaking, not moving closer yet, just observing. His presence made her both nervous and curious. She had never seen anyone like him. So calm, so confident, yet gentle. Could someone like this really want to help her? Or was it a trick? Another test of her suffering. Slowly he approached, taking careful steps that did not startle her. Each step seemed thoughtful, deliberate, as if he did not want to frighten her. He stopped a few feet away, kneeling slightly to be at her level, and in his hands he held a small pouch. Unlike anything she had seen, the smell was sweet, warm, inviting, and her stomach reminded her sharply that she had not eaten much in days. "You don't have to be afraid," he said softly, his voice gentle, carrying no mockery, no cruelty, just a calm kindness that wrapped around her like a protective shield. She stared at him, unsure if she could trust his words. Her whole life had been full of lies, betrayals, and laughter at her pain. Could this really be real? Could someone truly care? He opened the pouch, revealing small pieces of food, soft and easy to eat. She hesitated, her hands trembling. Her body was tired, her mind wary. She wanted to step back, to run and hide, but the warmth of his eyes, the patience in his tone, drew her forward. Slowly she reached out, her fingers brushing the food, feeling its texture, warm and comforting. As she took the first piece, her lips trembling, he smiled. A small, gentle smile, and waited without rushing her. She chewed carefully, savoring each bite, the taste foreign yet comforting. She realized she had not felt this sensation for a long time, not just hunger satisfied, but safety, acceptance, and a strange new feeling she could not name. "Thank you," she whispered, unsure if he could hear her. Her voice was small, almost lost in the evening breeze. But the human nodded, acknowledging her words, not with grand gestures, but with quiet respect. The simplicity of his action spoke louder than any speech could. He did not ask for anything, did not demand obedience. He simply offered kindness, something she had never known before. The girl looked around the square, half expecting someone to step out and ruin this moment. But no one came. The streets were emptying as the city settled into night. Shadows lengthened and stretched across the buildings, and for the first time she felt a sense of calm. She did not have to fight to survive just this moment. She could rest, even if only for a short while. "Why are you helping me?" she asked finally, her voice trembling. Her words were more than curiosity. They were disbelief, her heart refusing to accept something so simple yet so foreign. The human looked at her, his expression calm. "Because everyone deserves a chance," he said, "even if the world has forgotten you." Those words felt like music to her ears, each one brushing away the years of pain and ridicule she had carried. The alien girl's eyes filled with tears. Tears she had been holding back for months. She blinked quickly, trying to hide them. But he did not look away. He waited patiently, giving her the space to feel, to accept that perhaps, just perhaps, she could trust him. The warmth of his presence, the simple act of offering food, began to build something inside her, something she had thought long dead: hope, courage, and maybe even friendship. As the sky turned darker, the first stars appearing like tiny sparks of light, the girl felt something she had never imagined: a connection. Fragile yet real, she realized that the human did not see her as worthless, did not laugh at her pain, did not mock her weakness. For the first time she felt seen, valued, and cared for that night as she walked beside him, clutching what little food she could carry. She dared to imagine a life beyond hunger, beyond cruelty, beyond the laughter of those who had treated her like dirt. A life where someone could care, where safety and warmth were possible. where she could be more than invisible. And as they disappeared into the quiet streets together, the glow of hope grew brighter within her, small but undeniable. She did not know what the future held, or what dangers might come, but for the first time, she believed that life could be different, that maybe, just maybe, kindness could exist in a world that had known only cruelty. The night was quiet, with only the soft whisper of wind brushing against the alien city's walls. She walked beside the human, her small hands clutching the remaining food he had given her. Each step felt lighter than before, though her body was still weak from days of hunger. The streets were empty, the shadows long, and for the first time, she felt she could breathe without fear. The human glanced at her, noticing her cautious movements. "You don't have to hurry," he said softly, his voice calm, not commanding. Not impatient, just an invitation to trust him. She looked up at him, unsure what to say, unsure if trust was possible after years of cruelty. Yet something about his presence felt different. Safer, almost comforting. She nodded slightly, not trusting her words yet. They stopped at a small hidden alley away from the main streets, where the hum of the city softened into distant echoes. He knelt and opened a small bag, offering her water this time, clear and cool, the kind that made her throat feel alive again. She drank slowly, savoring each sip, feeling her strength return bit by bit. His patience made her heart race with an unfamiliar warmth. She wanted to ask questions, so many questions, but the words felt heavy, stuck in her throat. Finally, she whispered, "Why are you helping me?" "You could just ignore me like everyone else," the human smiled. A small, gentle curve of his lips. "Because everyone deserves a chance to be seen," he said, "even if the world thinks they are nothing." Those words sank deep into her mind. A seed planted in the soil of years of neglect, a seed she had almost forgotten existed. She looked around, remembering the laughter, the mockery, the hunger and the pain that had filled her life. Could she really believe in something so simple? Kindness, friendship, protection. She wanted to, but fear was still there, a shadow that refused to leave. I don't know if I can trust anyone," she admitted, her voice trembling. The human's eyes softened even more. "Then trust me slowly," he said, step by step. The alien girl felt a strange feeling in her chest, like warmth spreading slowly through her bones. She had never imagined that someone could treat her like a person, not a joke, not dirt, but a being worthy of care. They walked quietly, sharing the silence together. And in that silence, something began to grow. A bond neither had fully named yet. He shared small stories about his travels, the places he had seen beyond the city, worlds she had never imagined, strange skies, forests with trees taller than buildings, rivers that sparkled like stars. Each story made her eyes widen. Each word made her forget the pain of the day for a moment. She began to share, too, small memories from her life, hidden secrets of her loneliness, the hunger, the laughter that had cut her heart. The human listened without judgment, never interrupting, never laughing, only absorbing her words. As the night deepened, they found a small abandoned shelter, a quiet corner where they could rest. He offered her a blanket, small and thin but enough to cover her. She hesitated, not used to receiving anything, and when she wrapped it around herself, she felt a strange comfort, like the first safe place she had known in years. The human sat beside her, his presence steady, reassuring, a wall against the cruel world outside. "You are not alone anymore," he said softly, as if speaking directly to the small, frightened part of her heart. "I will not let anyone hurt you while I'm here." Those words were heavy with promise, yet light with hope. She wanted to believe him, wanted to feel safe, but the fear clung stubbornly to her. She did not speak, only let her eyes fill with tears she had been holding back for so long. The human handed her a small piece of bread, and she accepted it quietly, feeling a strange trust in his gesture. "Eat slowly," he said. There is no rush. The simple words, the patient tone, made her feel seen in a way she had never known. In that moment, she realized something important, that kindness could exist even in a harsh world, that someone could care without expecting anything in return. As the night wore on, she began to relax, leaning slightly toward him, a small, fragile act of trust. He did not push her, did not force the bond, only allowed it to grow naturally. Like a flower opening to the sunlight for the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a life where someone could be by her side, not to laugh at her, not to harm her, but to stand with her, and in that quiet shelter, with the city sleeping around them, The alien girl felt the first flicker of hope, a connection that whispered of safety, of friendship, of something more. She did not know what the future would bring, whether the cruel world outside would find her, or if the dangers she had faced would return. But for the first time, she believed that she could survive, that she could trust, that she could be more than the world had ever allowed her to be. And as she drifted toward a light sleep, the human's steady presence beside her, she understood the truth of his simple acts, that even in a cruel world, one small gesture of kindness could change everything. One night, one loaf of bread, one shared silence could plant the seeds of a bond strong enough to defy cruelty. The next morning, the city felt colder, harsher. As if it knew a storm was coming, the alien girl woke slowly, her small body wrapped in the thin blanket the human had given her. She felt a strange warmth from his presence beside her. Yet the shadows outside reminded her that the world had not forgotten her suffering. She stepped cautiously outside the small shelter. Peering at the streets, the human watched her carefully, his eyes scanning the area. "We must be careful today," he said softly. "They are watching." She froze, the words sinking into her chest like heavy stones. "Who?" she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. He pointed to a group of aliens across the street, laughing quietly among themselves, their eyes sharp, cruel, and focused on her, the ones who had treated her like dirt, the ones who had laughed at her hunger. They were planning, scheming, waiting for the right moment to strike. Her stomach twisted, fear gripping her heart. They will hurt us," she said, her voice trembling. The human nodded, calm yet tense. "Perhaps, but we are not defenseless," he said. "We have to stay smart, watch carefully, and act only when necessary." The girl nodded slowly, trying to steady her trembling hands. She had trusted him, leaned on him for the first time in her life. But now the danger felt very real. The cruel aliens began to move closer, pretending to wander the streets, but their eyes never left her. Every step they took was deliberate, every whisper a threat. The girl felt panic rise, her body ready to run. Yet the human put a steady hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "We will face them together," he said calmly. "Trust me." She swallowed hard, feeling a mix of fear and courage, something new blossoming inside her. As the group approached, they began to hurl insults, mocking her and the human. "Did you really think you could hide, filth?" one shouted, pointing at her. The laughter of the others echoed in the empty streets, sharp and cruel, trying to break her. She held her ground, gripping the human's hand tightly, feeling his strength. His calm presence was a shield against the storm of their cruelty. Suddenly, one of the cruel aliens lunged forward, attempting to grab her. The human stepped swiftly, blocking the attack. His movements precise and quick. "Back," he commanded, his voice firm, carrying authority that made even the attackers hesitate. The alien girl watched, amazed at his courage and skill, realizing that he was not just kind but capable of defending her, protecting her in ways she could not yet understand. The attackers exchanged glances, realizing that the girl was not alone, that the human would not let them succeed easily. They began to circle, looking for weaknesses, testing their courage against his calm resolve. The girl's heart raced, every muscle tense, ready to flee or fight if needed. But the human whispered to her, "Stay close, observe, and trust me, we will not fail." His words steadied her, and she felt a strange confidence growing, a bond stronger than fear. They used the narrow streets to their advantage, moving carefully, avoiding open areas, hiding behind walls and crates. The human guided her silently, teaching her how to move without drawing attention, how to anticipate danger. She followed his instructions, feeling the thrill of being part of something important, something that mattered. Her body felt alive, her mind sharp, for the first time aware of her own potential. As the tension rose, one of the attackers tried to block their path, forcing a confrontation. The human acted quickly, using a clever trick to mislead the alien, making them stumble and lose balance. The girl gasped, amazed at his ingenuity. Realizing that intelligence and strategy could overcome raw cruelty, their bond strengthened in that moment, built not just on kindness, but on mutual trust, teamwork, and courage. The cruel aliens finally retreated, frustrated but not defeated, their eyes glinting with promises of revenge. The girl and the human remained in the shadows, hearts racing, knowing that this battle was only the beginning. The human looked at her. "They will try again," he said, "but now you know. You are not alone, you can fight and we can face anything together." The girl nodded, her fear mingling with excitement, Her small hands gripped his tightly, feeling the bond between them grow stronger, stronger than the cruelty that had haunted her all her life. She realized that danger could come, but with trust and courage. It could be faced, conquered, and overcome. The city, once a place of fear and mockery, now felt like a challenge they could meet, a test they could pass together. As the sun set again, painting the sky with fiery colors, the girl felt something inside her awaken, a strength she had never known. The cruel aliens might try to harm her, might try to break the bond she had found, but she knew now that she was not powerless. She had someone by her side who believed in her, someone who had shown her kindness, courage, and trust, and that made all the difference. And as they moved silently through the empty streets, ready to face whatever came next, she realized that danger was no longer the end, but the beginning of a story where she could grow, fight, and live, a story where hope, trust, and courage could triumph over cruelty. The city grew quieter as night approached, but the alien girl could still feel the tension in the air. Every shadow seemed larger, every whisper of wind carried a warning. She knew the cruel aliens would not give up easily. Their jealousy and hatred had not vanished. They were simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The human looked at her seriously, his eyes scanning the empty streets. "We cannot stay here much longer," he said softly yet firmly. "They will come again. And next time they may not be so careless." She swallowed hard. The thought of leaving the only place she had known both terrifying and exciting. "Where will we go?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small folded map, pointing to a hidden path that led out of the city and into the wilderness beyond. "This way," he said, tracing the route with his finger. "It's dangerous, yes, but it is the only way to be safe for now." She studied the map carefully, the lines and symbols unfamiliar, yet somehow clear. The thought of leaving the city, leaving behind everything she had ever suffered through, made her heart pound with both fear and hope. The plan was simple but risky. They would move quietly through the city, avoiding main streets, slipping through alleys, and hiding in shadows whenever someone passed. The human would lead, guiding her carefully, teaching her how to observe, how to listen for danger, how to move without being seen. Each instruction he gave was precise, clear, and calm, helping her focus and control her fear. As they started their escape, the alien girl's heart raced with every step. Her senses were sharp, noticing the smallest noises, the faintest movements. Every alleyway and doorway became a potential trap, and every shadow could hide a threat. Yet alongside the fear, a strange excitement bubbled within her. She was no longer just surviving. She was acting, moving with purpose, and learning to trust her instincts. They paused at the first corner, crouched behind a stack of crates as the cruel aliens passed by, laughing and pointing, clearly looking for them. The human whispered, "Wait for the right moment. Then follow me quickly." She nodded, holding her breath, feeling her body tense and ready to spring. As soon as the path cleared, they dashed silently down the narrow alley, hearts pounding in unison, the thrill of danger making her feel alive. The city's maze of streets tested them at every turn, twisting and turning like a trap. Yet the human's steady guidance kept them safe. He pointed out paths she would have never noticed, small gaps between buildings, hidden tunnels, even a fallen wall that served as a perfect shortcut. She followed his lead, learning quickly how to read the city like a map, how to anticipate movement, how to hide in plain sight. At one point, a guard noticed them from a distance, shouting warnings. The alien girl froze, but the human grabbed her hand and pulled her into a narrow doorway, pressing her flat against the wall. Their hearts raced as the guard passed by, oblivious to their hiding spot. The girl realized how much she had relied on him, and how much she had grown in courage and skill just by trusting him. As they reached the edge of the city, the streets became less crowded and the noise faded, replaced by the distant sounds of wildlife and rustling trees. The map had led them to a secret gate, cleverly hidden among rocks and vines, just wide enough for them to slip through. The human checked the surroundings carefully, then nodded to her. "We are almost free," he whispered. And for the first time, the girl felt a rush of relief. Through the gate, they entered the wilderness, a vast open space full of unknown dangers. Yet it felt different, safe in a way the city never had. The wind brushed her face, carrying scents of grass, flowers, and earth, and she took a deep breath, feeling her body relax for the first time in days. The human walked beside her, guiding, protecting, and silently teaching her how to navigate this new world. As they moved further from the city, The alien girl realized something powerful, something she had never known before. She was no longer just a victim, no longer alone, no longer helpless. She had someone by her side, someone who believed in her, someone who had shown her courage, kindness, and trust, and that made all the difference. And as the stars began to appear in the night sky, lighting the path ahead, she felt a spark of hope growing inside her, a feeling stronger than any fear, stronger than any cruelty she had endured. The escape was only the beginning, but for the first time, she believed in a future that could be hers, a life where she could be safe, where she could grow, where she could trust, and perhaps even thrive. The human glanced at her, his eyes calm yet alert. "Rest when you can. But keep moving," he said, and she nodded, feeling the bond between them grow stronger with every step. Every danger they had faced, every risk they had taken, had forged a connection that nothing could break. The alien girl realized that this journey was not just about survival. It was about discovering her own strength, courage, and the power of trust. And as they disappeared into the darkness, leaving the city behind, she knew deep in her heart that she would never be the same again, that together they could face anything, and that a new story had just begun. The sun rose slowly over the horizon, spilling golden light across the distant hills. The alien girl blinked against the brightness, feeling a strange warmth in her chest. She had left the city behind, the cruelty, the laughter, the hunger, and now a new world stretched out before her. Full of possibilities, she walked beside the human, her small hand gripping his, feeling safe for the first time in her life. The landscape was unlike anything she had ever seen. Trees stretched high into the sky, their leaves shimmering in shades she could hardly name. Rivers flowed with clear water that sparkled in the sunlight, and flowers dotted the ground in colors brighter than she had imagined. The air smelled fresh and alive, carrying the songs of birds and the rustle of unseen creatures. It was a world that seemed untouched by cruelty, a world where she could breathe freely. The human led her carefully, showing her the best paths and safe places to rest. "This is our place for now," he said. "Here you can heal, eat, and sleep without fear." She looked around, her eyes wide with wonder, and for the first time, she let herself feel joy, a deep, quiet happiness she had never known. The fear that had haunted her every day felt distant, replaced by curiosity and awe. She knelt by a small stream, letting her fingers brush the cool water, laughing softly at the simple pleasure. The human watched her with a gentle smile, and she realized how much she had come to trust him. He had guided her through danger, protected her, fed her, and now brought her to this place where life felt full and free. She felt a strange gratitude, a bond that went beyond words. As days passed, the alien girl began to explore this new world, learning its rhythms, the sounds of the forest, the movements of animals, and the quiet beauty of untouched nature. The human taught her how to find edible fruits, how to build a small shelter, and how to move quietly so as not to disturb the creatures around them. She absorbed everything eagerly, feeling her body grow stronger, her mind sharper, and her heart lighter. One evening, as they sat watching the sun set behind the hills, she spoke quietly. "I never imagined a place like this existed." Her voice held awe and wonder, but also a small trace of doubt. "Do you really think it's safe?" The human nodded. "It is safe here. For now," he said. "But we must always be aware, always prepared, even in a beautiful place. Danger can find us, but together we can handle it." She nodded, understanding that safety was not just about distance from cruelty, but about trust, courage, and vigilance. She began to open up more, sharing stories of her past, her childhood full of laughter from others, yet also pain and hunger. She spoke of the times she had been laughed at, of the cold nights she had spent alone, of the hunger that gnawed at her body and spirit. The human listened silently, never judging, only offering understanding and reassurance. Each story she told seemed to lighten her heart. As if sharing the pain made it smaller in turn, he shared stories of his life beyond the city, of worlds she could hardly imagine, of skies filled with stars and rivers that glowed in the dark, of creatures gentle and strange. She listened with wide eyes, fascinated, and with each tale her mind expanded, imagining possibilities beyond the hardships she had endured. The stories filled her with a sense of wonder, a feeling that life could be more than survival, more than cruelty. One day, while exploring, they found a small clearing where the sunlight poured in, a perfect place for rest. The alien girl lay down on the soft grass, closing her eyes and feeling the warmth on her face. She realized how much she had changed, How much stronger she had become, no longer weak from hunger and fear. She felt alive, confident, and capable. The human sat beside her, watching the horizon, and she felt a deep gratitude, not just for his protection, but for the kindness he had shown, a kindness that had taught her to hope, to trust, and to dream. She knew she would never forget the cruelty of the city, but she also knew that this new world, this new life was hers to embrace. And as night fell, stars filling the sky, she realized that she had found more than safety. She had found freedom, friendship, and the first seeds of joy. The cruel laughter of her past could not reach her here. The human had given her the chance to live, to heal, and to grow, and she vowed silently that she would not waste it. For the first time, she believed in a future where she could be more than what others had called her, more than the dirt they had seen. She could laugh, eat, explore, and dream. And she could do it with someone who truly cared. Someone who had shown her that even in a harsh world, kindness and courage could lead to a new life. And as she lay beneath the stars, feeling the gentle night around her, she smiled softly, a small, fragile yet powerful smile, knowing that she had survived, she had grown, and she had found a new world that was waiting for her to become part of it. The alien girl woke to a soft morning light filtering through the leaves. Her body felt strong, her mind clear, and her heart steady for the first time. She did not feel fear pressing on her chest. She had survived the cruelty of the city, the laughter that had haunted her, and the hunger that had once consumed her. Now, she stood ready for whatever lay ahead. The human sat beside her, as calm and watchful as ever. His eyes scanned the horizon, alert for danger, yet filled with a quiet confidence. "Today," he said softly, "we finish what began in the city." She turned to him, curiosity and a spark of fear in her eyes. "Finish what?" she asked. He smiled gently. "It's time to show that cruelty cannot win, that those who treated you like dirt will face the truth." She nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. The journey had taught her courage, but she still wondered what it meant to confront the past. They moved carefully, returning to the edge of the city, but not into its streets, only to the outskirts, where the cruel aliens had gathered, unaware that she had grown stronger, wiser, and no longer weak. The air was tense, heavy with expectation, as if the city itself was holding its breath. The alien girl stepped forward, her posture taller than she had ever dared. The human's presence beside her gave her strength. The cruel aliens looked at her, eyes wide, confused by the change in the girl they had once mocked. They laughed at first, thinking she was still weak, still the same frightened child they had tormented, but she did not falter. She lifted her chin, her voice steady. "Your laughter will not hurt me anymore," she said clearly, and the words echoed through the empty streets. Silence fell, the crowd stunned by her courage. The human nodded, standing firmly beside her, showing that they were united, unafraid. The aliens tried to challenge her, shouting insults, mocking her growth, but she remembered the human's lessons. Each step, each trick they had used to survive. She moved calmly, using her wits to avoid their attacks, dodging and weaving with a skill she had never known she possessed. The human guided her subtly, never taking control, letting her find her strength one by one. The cruel aliens realized they could not intimidate her. Their laughter faded into whispers of fear. Confusion replaced arrogance, and the power they had once held over her crumbled. The girl stood taller, her confidence shining, and the city seemed to shift with her courage. The mockery that had once crushed her could no longer touch her. The human stepped forward, speaking with calm authority. "Cruelty has a cost," he said. "Those who laugh at suffering will face it in truth." The aliens shuffled, unsure, and for the first time, they understood that their actions had consequences, that the girl they had treated like nothing was now a force they could not ignore. The alien girl raised her voice, strong and clear. "I am not dirt, I am not worthless, and your laughter cannot define me." Her words rang through the streets, a proclamation of survival, of courage, and of hope. The human's presence made the statement unbreakable, a bond of trust and strength that no cruelty could destroy. As the sun reached its peak, the aliens finally retreated, some ashamed, some fearful, knowing that their power had ended. The girl watched them go, her heart light, her spirit free. The city had tested her, tried to break her, but she had risen above it all, stronger, wiser, and unafraid. Turning to the human, she smiled, a full, radiant smile, no longer small or fearful. "Thank you," she said, "for giving me a chance, for showing me kindness when no one else would." He nodded, Smiling softly, "You gave yourself the strength too," he said. "I only helped you see it." They walked together back to the safe hills and streams beyond the city. A new world awaited them, one where the girl could live fully, explore freely and grow without fear. The cruel laughter of the past was gone, replaced by the quiet strength of triumph. The alien girl had learned that courage, kindness, and trust could change everything, that even in the darkest moments hope could survive as night fell. The stars above sparkled brighter than ever, and she felt a deep peace. Her journey had begun in darkness, full of suffering and hunger, but it ended with light, trust, and triumph. She had been treated like dirt, laughed at and pushed aside. Yet here she was, standing strong, alive and free. The human glanced at her, eyes warm and steady. "The world may still be cruel," he said, "but you have the power to face it, and you are not alone." She nodded, understanding fully for the first time that survival was more than staying alive. It was about growing, caring, and standing tall. She had triumphed not just over cruelty, but over fear itself, and the story of her strength would live forever. And as they sat together under the vast sky, the alien girl knew that she had truly found a place where she belonged, a life where kindness, courage, and hope could flourish, a story that would inspire, and a future that was hers to embrace.